Okay, class. I hope you're doing well. According to your grades as a whole, you're all doing very good. And this week in Chapter 4, we're going to learn about tables. Now, first of all, we want to just become familiar with the table tags. And when you get ready to start a table, you just use the table tag to begin and the ending, the closing table tag. All other table tags are inserted within these tags. Now, tables consist of table rows and table headers, and you have table data in your cells. So, table row, TR, your end in TR indicates the start and end of a table row. Rows consist of headings of data cells. And your table headers, when you have a table header, by default, the text will be in bold and centered, and this indicates the start and end of a table heading, also called a heading cell. Then your table data indicates the start and end of the data cell in a table. Data cells default to a normal text, and by default are left aligned. Now, let's look at another table or figure. This is figure 410 in your textbook, and look at this simple table. This is a table that has how many columns? So your columns go up and down. So this is a 2-column table. And notice that these first 2 cells are your heading cells. And your heading cells, you see by default they're bold and centered. Now this is a row. These are your rows going across. Row 3. And this is your row 4. Then your data cells. How many data cells do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now let's just see if we can code just this very simple table that has 2 columns, 2 heading rows, and 6 data cells. All right, let's give that a try. Before we start coding, notice also that this table has a border, and notice that the space that you have between these 2 columns. All right. Let's begin. Now in my notepad, I already have the beginning code that we have in all of our labs, and notice that I'm right below the body tag. So we're going to begin by starting with our table tag, our opening table tag, and we're going to add a border. And to turn our border, we want to set it to 1, and this 1 is in quotes. So if we put a 1 there, the table will display a border. And our style equals border, in quotes, spacing. You remember you saw the spacing between the columns, and spacing also within the cell. That's the padding. We're going to set them both, the spacing and the padding, to 5 pixels, in quotes. Okay, now we're going to begin with what? What goes across? A table row. Opening the table row. Okay, and in our table row, the first part was the table header. Remember, because we want to set off our table header, we want it bold and centered. So this was our first heading. And now what do? You remember in the table, let me go back and show you. You see how this says first heading and row 1 is down on the next line and table headers down on the next line? Well, how do we do that? We're not ready to end our table header because this is still in the header row, but it's down on the next line. To do that, we're going to enter a break. Okay? So we have table, header, first heading, and we add that break to get that text to come down on the next line and yet stay in our table header. Need another break, and we say row 1 table header, excuse me. And now we're going to close our table header. See, here's the opening table header, and inside there we have first heading, down on the next line, row 1, that break gets us down on the next line, down the next line, table header, then we close our table heading. Okay, now we have another table heading, and this is second heading. Okay, we add that break. Row 1, still on row 1, break, table header, close your table header. Now that ends our table header. Now we're ready to end what? Our table row. Okay, so here's your beginning row, and here's your ending row. If you look back at your picture, you know all this information went across that row. Let's look again. See here? That is one row. We began our table row here, put in this information, we end our table row here because this is row 2. All right? Catching on? It's really not hard once you catch on. You got the table row. Okay, now let's see what we've got so far now. If you haven't already, go ahead and save what you've got as a .html document. Save it as a .html. And always pay attention where you save it, what folder you're putting it in, so that you can find it. Now, on your menu bar, notice you have a Run. Click Run. I like to use Chrome, so I'm going to launch in Chrome. And so this will show us, this is all that we've coded so far, right? Notice how this table, we only have one row, and we have a border around the table, and we have this is our headings. They are bold, and they're centered by default. So that's what we've got so far. Now let's go back and code. We've ended our first row. Okay, so we're ready now to start another row. And in that row we have our table data, data cell 1, row 2. Remember, we're down on row 2 now. Close our table data. Table data, data cell 2, still on row 2. Close the table data. Now we're ready to end our table row. So you see your beginning and the ending row, data cell 1, row 2, data cell 2, row 2. Now I'm on Control S to save what we have. Run and launch in Chrome, and let's see what we've done. Remember how I've told you, code a little and test a lot. Let's don't go a long way of code and then look at it and say, oh, we've got a mess. Code a little, check it out, and see, is that what we meant to do? And it is. Okay, that's what we meant to do. Here's our heading rows. See how they are different than our regular data cells. Okay, here we're on row 2. All right, let's go back. We need to start another row. Whoops. Open our table data, and we're on data cell 3 now. Row 3. Close your table data. Open your table data. Data cell 4. Still on row 3. Close your table data, right? Then, of course, close what? Table row. Alright, save what we got. Control S to save. Go up now, run. Launch in Chrome or whatever you use, Firefox, Internet Explorer. Now, see how we added? Now we have 1, 2, 3 rows, 2 headers, and 1, 2, 3, 4 data cells. That's what we meant to have. Let's go back. And begin your table row. Begin your table data. Data, cell 5, row 4. Close your table data. Table data, data, cell 6, row 4. Close your table data. Then close your table row. Save. Control S. Run. Let's launch it in Chrome, see if we've made any mistakes. Now, let's compare this to what we have. And you notice that looks right. I don't think we have any mistakes. Very good. So, this should give you a beginning understanding of the basics of how tables work. Now, you can build on this. Let me know if you have questions.